Hello, everyone. Today I'd like to review On Call, A Doctor's Journey in Public Service by Anthony Fauci, MD. I sure hope my review today is helpful for you, and if it is, please give it a thumbs up. I was asked by a friend who knew that this book was coming out to read it and to make a review. So that's what I did. I bought it, and I can tell you I'm glad that I did. This is actually a memoir. I don't usually read memoirs or biographies or autobiographies, but since my friend wanted me to, I was happy to comply. And like I said, I'm really pleased because I was surprised. He starts with his growing up years in New York and his education. And as a retired teacher, I'll tell you, I was fascinated that this absolute genius scientist really put his emphasis in his very, very early years on languages. He was required to take Greek and Latin, excelled in both. He went through all of his education, not just in elementary school, but in high school, college, and med school, and beyond. The man is really a genius and an expert, and I was fascinated by the path that he took. I really enjoyed reading the combination of not just the medicine in the book, because he does go into that. You know, he is the one that actually led the charge in the medical field in the United States to fight the AIDS epidemic before it was called AIDS, before it was called HIV, before they knew what it was. They just knew people were dying, and they had no clue. And he realized that, and he went into that field. He set aside what he had been doing, and he went into that. He goes into all the detail of that, but not just the medical part, which he does in excruciating, heart-wrenching detail, but in addition to that, the political, the administrative, what you have to do to be allowed to do what you're good at. And I'll tell you, there are tidbits throughout this book, throughout the whole thing, that will apply to medicine, health, public health, and all of that in the greater good for the country and the world, but also in your private life. Let me read you something that really struck a note with me. When I first started teaching, there was very few French and German classes in the school district where I was, and that was my field. So I had to actually build it like he built up the research and the grants and the money in order to get the research on AIDS financed, because this stuff takes money. So he says, let's see, where is it? Importantly, to win over skeptics, I learned that the cause for which you are advocating must be legitimate, worthy, and not motivated by self-interest. Your arguments must be evidence-based. You must be truthful and consistent in your reasons for asking for resources. People quickly see through anything less than that. That is exactly right. When you're on the right side of a cause, and your cause is just, and you lay it out in front of people and explain things to them, and they realize you're not the one benefiting, you're doing it so someone else would benefit, then they jump on board and they help you. And plenty of people help Dr. Fauci, and he talks about them. But not just the AIDS epidemic, that's about the first third. And then he continues on in other things that happened throughout the world, throughout medicine, throughout his career, the various problems. That one was Iraq. He talked about moving forward. What do we do? Remember, he not only was in charge of the infectious disease, but also immunology and allergies and the like. And I'll tell you that all of this affects all of us, whether we like it or not. Then he gets into COVID, and he gets into everything that happened politically and medically there, his ups and his downs. And I'll tell you, I liked reading it because it took me back. He's a little older than I am, and when he talked about something in this book, I remember it. I remember Dr. Koop. I remember what happened in San Francisco and in New York and in other parts of the world. I remember all of that. And he tells you, he fills in the blanks of what you knew, what you think you know, and it's fascinating. The man's a genius. His writing is exceptional. I'm really enjoyed it. I'm glad my friend encouraged me to read it, and I hope this review helps you, and thanks for watching.